This meeting of the Independent School District 535 School Board is called to order at 5:31 p.m. Tuesday, July 11th, 2017, in room 137 of the Edison Building. Present at the board table is Mr. Michael Munoz, Superintendent of Schools, and a non-voting ex officio member of the board. Also present is Ms. Wendy Edgar, the Assistant Board Clerk. Ms. Edgar, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Barlow.
Here.
Mrs. Becker.
Here.
Ms. Marvin.
Here.
Mr. Susner.
Here.
Ms. Seelinger. Mr. Smith.
Here.
Chair Workman.
Here. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2.01, approval of the agenda. This is an action item. Mr. Munoz, are there any changes to the agenda?
There's one change, item 7.01, approval of the 2017-2018 Rights, Rules, and Regulations and Procedural Code of Rochester Public Schools has been removed from the agenda, and we will bring it back in August. We are currently working on policy 506, so we want to get that policy done and the changes made and approved, because that will be in part of the procedure handbook. So not having to avoid having to print them twice, we will wait and do that in August.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Announcements and communication. 3.01, 2016-2017 School Board Committee Assignment Updates. This is an information item. Board members, you have received both by email late this afternoon, and my apologies for getting it to you so late, as well as a document in front of you for the assignments for this coming school year. I think I've talked to most of you about your assignments or potential assignments, so if you would like to have a change or swap with somebody, this is sort of your time to make that request. Good. I look forward to no complaints from anyone in the coming year. Okay. Woo.
High expectations.
Yeah, well, it had to happen sometime, Gary, you know. Consent agenda. This is an action item. Are there any items board members would like to remove for separate consideration? Hearing none. Any discussion?
Move
How about a
approval.
Motion? Sorry.
Move approval.
Second? Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, I just would like to call to your attention agenda item 4.14, approval of the cooperative dissolution. That is, I just want to make sure, this was, we were contacted by the Catholic High School, and they asked us to get out of their agreement in wrestling. And if you remember, we still had a couple years left in those different co-ops with them, but they've reached out to us and asked us to allow them to co-op with somebody else, and we waived the 1-year notice, and it will go in effect for this coming school year.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. High student achievement, equity update. This is an information item. Mr. Munoz.
Yes, at this time I thought I would share with you, on June 19th, we received our letter from OCR giving us an update on the progress that we've made on the agreement, so I thought I would try to highlight that information. By letter dated May 17, 2017, the district submitted a variety of information that was requested by OCR. Item number 1 covered the agreement notifying the district to notify OCR the name and qualifications of the individuals as discipline supervisor. So we did provide that information to them. And then on February 10th, they asked us to provide a little more information on the qualifications of that individual, so we did on May 17th provide that information to OCR, and OCR has determined the district's actions with respect to discipline supervisor are consistent with requirements of item 1 of the agreement, but they will they've checked that one off, but they will continue to monitor that one as well. Item 3, the agreement required the district to provide documentation to OCR at each meeting of the student school board. The district provide agendas for monthly student school board meetings. On February 10th, OCR requested that the district provide the agenda for the April 2016 meeting and the summary of the concerns and suggestions related to discipline policies, practices, and procedures expressed by the students for the October, November, January, and April meetings. The district provided the requested information on May 17th, and OCR has checked that one off as well, but they will continue to monitor item number 3. Items 5 and 7 both address the district student behavior handbook, and on February 10th, OCR notified the district that the handbook complies with certain specific requirements of items 5 and 7. OCR did speak with district representatives on March 20th regarding their concerns, and I think I shared with you that we have spent a lot of time working with our attorneys, working with OCR, and working with our building administrators, and confident that the handbook that we will send to them here soon will meet all the requirements for the handbook. On May 17th, the district provided a red line copy of the 2016-2017 handbook that addresses the questions concerned noted by OCR. And we've also informed them that we are currently working on substantial revisions to the handbook, and we'll provide that handbook to them by August 15th. And we should actually get that to them before the 15th. Item 9, the agreement requires the district provide annual training to all teachers and administrators and other RPS personnel charged with supervising students and making disciplinary referrals or imposing discipline sanctions. We provided OCR a copy of our training materials, as well as identified the qualifications of the individuals who were providing that training. Previous reports provided names and titles of lead principals who would be providing training under item 19 or under 9, and also staff a copy of the handbook, site-based training on the handbook, and required all staff members to view a video on the handbook that discussed the district discipline supervisor. On February 10th, OCR requested the district provide them copies of the training materials, including training videos it used to meet the requirement from item 9. In May 17th report, the district provided links to the training materials online. OCR reviewed the materials, and based on the information provided, OCR determined the district's actions to date with respect to item 9 are consistent with the terms of the agreement. They will continue to monitor as well. Item 10 requires the district provide annual training programs regarding discipline to all district students in an age-appropriate, easy understanding manner, and provide OCR a copy of the materials and names of the contact information of individuals who provided the training. Previous report, the district provided links to the training videos, which were actually created and narrated by our student school board members. On February 10th, OCR requested that the district document to OCR that the training it provided to students include the following elements: notice to students of their rights to appropriate due process procedures in connection with discipline action taken or proposed by the district, information regarding specific manner in which progressive discipline consequences will be employed, and circumstances under which a deviation from established policies will take place, and also discussion of the limited role of our police liaison officers. On May 17th, we provided OCR a copy of the superintendent's video that met all of the requirements that I mentioned up above, and OCR reviewed the video and confirmed that it addresses everything that they've asked us to do. Based on the information provided, OCR determined that the district's action to date with respect to item 10 are consistent with the terms of the agreement, and they will continue to monitor. Item 11, the agreement required that the district make training available to the police liaison officers. February 10th letter, OCR requested that the district document that it met the training requirements under item 11. In the May 17th report, district documented that the district provided training to liaison officers and administrators on October 1st, 2015. Item 11 further required the district submit a report documenting that it reviewed every recorded incident in which the student's conduct was reported to law enforcement during the 2014-15 school year. February 10th, OCR requested the district provide documentation of the review required. On May 17th, we reported to them that it does not maintain recorded data regarding the number of law enforcement referrals that took place in the 2014 school year before the district and OCR entered into the agreement. As a result, the district is unable to review whether law enforcement referrals during the 14-15 school year were appropriate under the circumstances and consistent with treatment of similarly situated situations. Based on the information provided, OCR determined that no further action by the district is necessary in regard to item 11. Item 15 of the agreement requires the district to examine annually how discipline referrals occurring at each school compares to those at other district schools. In previous reports, the district stated that there's inconsistency between referrals in different buildings, and the district stated it believes a number of factors contribute to the inconsistencies. On February 10th letter, OCR requested the district provide a copy of its analysis of how disciplinary referrals are treated at each school compared to those at district schools. OCR also requested the district indicate what, if any, appropriate corrective action is taken or consideration taken in response to its findings. On May 17th report, the district indicated it has no information responsive to this request other than the summary provided to OCR. The district explained that it analyzes data from individual sites by creating various pivot tables within the Excel file sent to OCR, and the information on the pivot table was then compared to district and site enrollment data. The district council stated that the district is willing to work with OCR to address any concerns in the summary outlined. OCR will schedule a telephone call with the district council to discuss this matter, and I think that's the 18th of this month, so we will be working with them to address that concern. Item 17 is the agreement required by each PBIS team to conduct and review disciplinary interventions at schools and prepare action plans. On February 10th, OCR requested that the district explain what, if any, action plans the teams prepared, including recommendations of any changes. On May 17th report, the district indicated that the individual sites are at different stages of implementing PBIS. District reported that to date, each building teams has been using an evaluation tool designed to measure the extent to which school personnel are applying the core features of PBIS. The district provided documentation relating to the evaluation tool at specific school sites, as well as each site's behavior flow chart and site behavior matrix. Based on the information provided, OCR determined that the district's action to date with respect to item 17 are consistent with the terms of the agreement, but they will continue to monitor. And the last one, item 18, required the district to submit to OCR for review and approval any changes proposed to be made into its discipline policy, practices, and procedures. Rationale for changes based on its consideration whether changes to its discipline policies, practices, and procedures are warranted based on evaluation of the district-wide student discipline data. On February 10th, OCR requested that the district provide any changes proposed to be made to its discipline policy, practice, and procedures, and rationale for changes. May 17th report, the district cross-referenced response to item 17 and also stated that in terms of formal policy changes, the district updates its school policy regarding student discipline. The report contained a link to the updated policy. Based on the information provided, the OCR determined that the district's actions to date with respect to item 18 are consistent with the agreement, but they will continue to monitor. So we did get we see this as a very good report. Really, there's two items, the behavior handbook, which I think we, once we send that to them here in the next couple of days, I think we're going to meet all the requirements of that, and then we do have a conference call with them on the 18th to work out how they want to us to analyze our discipline data by site. So We were happy with that letter we received in June and see it as a good report. But that doesn't mean that our work is done. We'll continue moving forward on the work that we're doing, but it's good to know that we are meeting the requirements of the agreement.
Mr. Barlow?
A little bit more enthusiasm.
I'm
please.
sorry. I need to take a drink of water. Mr. Barlow?
Yes, thank you. Just a point of clarification. And I'm doing this from memory. When this agreement was entered into in 2015, I believe it bore the signatures of the school board chair at that time, Deborah Seelinger, and legal counsel. And so I was just curious as to why. I mean, so is our job then as board, even though we received the letter then, as well as, and this was sent probably to you, superintendent, is there any reason why we can't? Because I wasn't able to process all 18 of those different metrics. Maybe everyone else was.
You're not ready for the quiz then?
No, please, pop or otherwise. But is it possible to actually review the information? I'm good with you saying we're good and there's only 2 outstanding issues, but if asked by someone within the community, what about this, what about that?
We'd be happy to share it with you. We don't have anything to hide. We'd be willing to put it on the website.
I would
If that
say
would
it
make
might be a good
everybody
idea
happy,
just to
we can
post
do that as well.
Post that on the website in the
Yeah.
spirit of transparency. Just put it on the website, provide the board members a copy.
Yeah.
And
And this was also shared with the community focus team as well. So they probably a little better presentation than I gave tonight, but they did receive that information as well.
Ms. Marvin?
Yeah, and just to emphasize that, the community focus team, the question has come up a couple of times about if the requests of the OCR letter have been met, does that mean we're done? And, I think that I know that we feel strongly that we're just beginning, that until we really can show that our kids have equity both in terms of achievement, referral, that this district is not going to rest. So there's no kind of hidden agenda here at all. And the idea of posting the letter, I think, is fine because that is not what defines this district. And it's really not what spells out the initiatives that we're working on going forward. I've been involved with this district for a long time, and I have never seen the amount of commitment and laser focus on doing what's right for all of our kids and our families.
Mr. Schlusner?
Kind of along those lines, I know that the district and the community engagement group is doing a lot. I think at some point it'd be good to see what the community is doing in this space as well back to us. It's not necessarily something that the district is responsible for, but like I said, campaigning, we're a village and we're all here to raise our children. So if at all possible, I think it'd be good to encourage some of our community members to share with us what they are doing to help in this space.
Well, and that may be the kind of thing that the community focus team, that is the team that's focused on what the community can do and what their involvement is. I'm sure would be happy to report. And beyond that, people who aren't on that team, if there was ever a time when it really does take a village, this is it.
Yeah,
And
that'd be a great update.
Every district, everywhere, they're discovering that I read someplace that our schools are trusted to shepherd our kids, but some of our kids get sent back to situations where they're looked over by wolves. And so we have to really work together to as a community, make sure that our kids are getting the best, whether they're in school, at home, in the broader community. And that's going to take all of us.
Mr. Smith?
Thanks you for the report, Superintendent Munoz. I think just listening to that, it'd be great to share the letter with community and board members and post it on the website, because I think you can get a sense of the depth of the reporting and the systematic change that is actually taking place here in terms of, looking at discipline, how it's administered, not just from this building versus this building, but how we're doing this systematically throughout the whole district, because this is real systemic change that is taking place here. And I think people reading that letter will get a sense for the depth of that when they read that report. So I think sharing it would be a good thing.
Any other comments?
It's in your mailbox right now.
It took you long enough.
That's quick.
And Chair Workman?
Yes.
And correct me, Director Marvin, if I'm incorrect, but while the Community Engagement Committee is up and running, the Community Focus Team is still defining itself.
Well, and they're up and running, but they're really working, and they're doing amazing work on determining how they're going to work.
Right.
What the focus is going to be, what the structure is going to be. Right. But they're meeting on a regular basis. Our next meeting, I think, is next
The
week.
21st, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only reason I mention that is to not have Director Schlusner operate under the premise that Community Focus is in a position right now to offer information, though it is important, I believe, for even like with groups like In His Name, or I'm sorry, In the City for Good, and the education chairs out there to hear that they're being invited to provide information directly to the board.
Any other comments or questions, board members? Thank you for a really detailed, comprehensive report. I'll look forward to reading it as soon as we're done. Efficient and effective operations. Authorization to reimburse general fund for long-term facilities maintenance expenses. This is a briefing item. Mr. Munoz.
Yes, I'm going to have Mr. John Carlson, Executive Director of Finance, brief us on this item.
Good evening, school board members, Superintendent Munoz. I'm here with a kind of standard item that we normally do around the time of issuing bonds, and that's to ask for permission to reimburse ourselves for any costs that we've had prior to when the money actually hits our bank account coming up here in August. I actually meant to bring this to you on June 6th when we set the sale date of the bonds, but forgot to at that time, and so I'm bringing it here tonight. The costs that we're looking to have reimbursed will be the architect fees and the construction manager that have been hired. So very normal expenses that, the project's already underway at this point.
Who would like this item take action on it since?
You can. It's not an emergency. We have 60 days after our first reimbursement, and we made the first expenditure on June 22nd.
You're here now, so nothing's going to change. I'd move this to action.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on moving this to action? Hearing none, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of moving this to action, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It is now an action item. Be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 535 does hereby approve the resolution relating to the financing of a proposed project to be undertaken by the district, establishing compliance with reimbursement bond regulations under the Internal Revenue Code as provided in Attachment A.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor? I should ask for discussion. Any discussion? No discussion? I think you just covered it so wonderfully. We don't have any questions. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Whoa.
Yeah, the record.
How did this happen? This meeting is adjourned at 5:55 p.m. 25 minutes
record.
on the dot. Actually, it's 24 minutes.
Wait, Julie, you have to wait. I'm still not logged in. Sorry. Darn it.